Well, here we are entering the fall season, which I love because I love fall air, the nip in the air, the leaves changing color, football, sweatshirts. I love the cold spots for my feet in the beds. But also, what happens with fall, there's a lot of great things to look forward to. But then it tends to be a time of year when we kind of do a reset. And, like the beginning of the year is one, maybe the beginning of summer is one, and fall. And we think, okay, summer's over, been traveling, doing different things out of our routine. Now we need to get back into it. We need to get back into the routine. We need to get organized. Maybe we feel like we need to reset our habits and we need to finish the year strong. And I'm just going to get serious again. And don't get me wrong, like I love this, but what if sometimes our instinct to start over is actually coming from some belief that, the person we are right now actually isn't quite good enough? What if you don't need to become somebody new this fall? What if you just need to come back to yourself? Welcome to the Courageous and Confident Christian Mom Podcast. I'm your host, Marcy Owen. I'm an advanced certified life coach. I'm trained in nervous system regulation, and I'm also a story coach. I'm happy you're here today. Welcome. I'm going to show you how to manage your mind, regulate your nervous system, and to heal from the stories you've been believing from your life experiences. I'm your self-love and confidence coach, and I will show you how to care about yourself and to stand in your power so that you can be free to live and do what you came here to do. It's your time to shine, my dear. Today, I wrapped up a 14-week masterclass. We started in May, and we finished our last call today when I'm recording this. And it was really like, it's always kind of monumental for me when I start one, and there's all kinds of really amazing things that happen all throughout the journey of the masterclass with myself and also with those that choose to join. And then at the end, I just noticed this morning, like when I was saying my prayers and just feeling a lot of gratitude. I felt gratitude and love in my heart for the content that I created. I had already run this Come Home to Your Heart once before, and I used some of the same stuff, but I did a lot of tweaking because I'm not the same person that I was a year ago when I ran the first round. And I felt a lot of gratitude for what I freaking did, what I created. And I felt gratitude and love for the women who said yes, gratitude that they trusted me to lead them on this journey. And I also felt some appreciation for the way they contributed to the group, to the experience. And so much gratitude and love to be able to see their individual growth and becoming. That is something that just makes me feel so much joy inside. And, realizing that, none of us are the same person that we were 14 weeks ago. We've all grown. We've all become someone, we've all evolved. And so not only did I witness their becoming, but mine too. Like I was mentioning, the work that I created, that I added in, there would be times when in the creation part, I found myself getting emotional. because I know what it is that I'm going to give them, what I'm going to offer them. I know how sacred and powerful it is. And so that was a neat, unexpected few moments that I experienced throughout. I love how I showed up for them each week. And I also appreciate that I believe I became a better facilitator. That was always part of my prayers the morning I had a call, that to help me become a better facilitator. It was just really cool. That creation process, I really think it is sacred because I'm asking for God to be in it with me and to guide me and to help me. And so who I became, through holding this space, being on this journey. And so it's not so much what I'm saying is it's not so much that any of us became someone completely different. No, that's not what I'm saying. Because in many ways, what happens with this work, it's about removing noise. It's about tending to what been hurt, the hurts inside, and understanding what's happening inside, and then becoming more available to shine a light on who you truly are, who you've always been underneath all of that. So here's the first thing that I want to talk about is that we can often mistake feeling some disconnection from ourselves or from our people or from the world. We can make that be like something's wrong, and we can make it mean like I'm got to fix myself. I've got to do something different. I've got to work on myself. Maybe I need to be more disciplined. Maybe I need better habits. Maybe I just need to be more confident, or I need more motivation. What is wrong with me? Or a goal or a new plan. But what if, like, sometimes there's not anything missing? There just may be simply a distance between you and you. There's so many of us that are walking around disconnected from ourselves. And life can create that distance. We can get in the rhythm of our life. Day in and day out, we do this, we do that. We show up here, we show up over there. This is what we do. And life can create a distance from ourselves. And then we can also be in a phase of life where we're taking care of everybody, or we're responding to problems, or the problem solver, or we're keeping up. We got to keep up. We got to do what needs to be done. Maybe we're worrying about this or that, or this child, or this circumstance. So many of us we just want to make a good decision. We want to make the right decision. And, a lot of us are carrying responsibilities. And then one day you're like, what? Gosh, I don't really even know like how I'm doing. I'm so disconnected. I don't even not really know how I'm doing. So we can be functioning, like we can be highly functional and still be disconnected from yourself. Just because we're showing up and doing all the things doesn't mean we're connected to ourselves. Could be totally not understanding what our body's trying to tell us. What emotions are we even feeling? What are we even thinking? That's disconnection. So what if, we have the self-improvement, want to get better and improve ourselves and that. And what if self-improvement is kind of like, what needs to change about me? And then becoming more connected and Coming home to yourself is actually, hmm, what's actually happening inside of me? What's my body trying to tell me? What emotions am I feeling? Self improvement might ask, you know what? How do I stop doing this thing? But being connected to ourselves actually looks different. You know, it looks like getting curious about what's going on and asking, I wonder why part of me feels like I need to do this. Self improvement can easily turn into another measuring stick that we use against ourselves. And coming home to ourselves and connecting actually requires curiosity and compassion. I like those two to go together, compassionately curious, because there are reasons why we disconnect. There's parts of us that are trying to protect us. No, we're not going to feel. We're going to disconnect and we're not going to feel. Oh my word. So many of us are walking around trying to get away from how we feel or how we think we don't want to feel. So many of us are trying to get away from the stories, the old stories and belief systems that we carry about ourselves or our life or someone else. And we have these patterns, which we might even call that's just who I am. That's my personality. But these patterns at one time, they did make sense because they were protective in nature. It is brilliant subconscious adaptation that created these patterns to actually help you survive, help you get through things, phrases in your life, moments, and coming back to yourself and connecting. It doesn't mean that we're going to indulge in our emotions. It doesn't mean that we're going to allow these protective parts to run our life. No, no, that's not what I'm saying that we do. But what I am saying is that we're willing to explore and be curious and know what is happening inside of me instead of being annoyed or frustrated or critical, instead of abandoning myself because I don't like what I find. And I think there's so many of us that are walking around with that actually this is what's going on, but it's subconsciously, we don't really understand that's what's going on unless you know the work. And so I want to talk about individual becoming because that was one of the things that I loved about, Come Home to Your Heart and watching the individual becoming of each person through this 14 weeks. And maybe becoming isn't always I became more impressive, but it can look like I'm more connected to myself. I understand what emotion I'm feeling. I can actually name it. I know what it is. I know how to take care of myself. It can look like trusting yourself more. That is actually a really big deal to be able to trust yourself more. It can also look like recognizing that protective pattern sooner and not letting it subconsciously take over because we're recognizing, oh, I have one and there it is. And we can do something different. So we're connected. What if becoming is being kinder to yourself instead of critical and annoyed when you become activated, or speaking your truth that instead you used to shrink, just take it, or just not even speak up, even though inside you was like, hey, what about, I want to say this. I want to say that. It could also look like, I can have needs. It's okay for me to have needs. I cannot believe how many of us have a subconscious pattern belief that it's not okay to have needs. It could also look like, you know what? I don't believe all the fearful thoughts that my mind gives to me. It could also look like, you know what? I don't abandon myself anymore, you know? So there's so many ways I could describe this. So maybe becoming isn't constantly adding something new to yourself. Sometimes becoming is shedding what has kept you from being yourself. Sometimes it is, but we're not adding anything new. We're actually uncovering what was already there when we shed something that was masking who we actually are. I really like this way of looking at becoming because at its heart, becoming is actually an ongoing process of growing into who you truly are rather than trying to arrive at some finished version of yourself. You know, instead of treating life like it's some destination that one day you're going to finally arrive and stop changing. No, becoming actually understands that you are a dynamic living being and we are always evolving as a human. And we're evolving based on what we learn and what we unlearn and how we choose to respond to life. I love that. Things that we learn and unlearn. And that's what I'm talking about today. You know, it's an unfolding, not a fixing. It's focusing on on the journey, becoming like I am in this right now. I'm alive and still growing. I always will be. And that a big piece of this is compassion, self compassion, because that is how compassion instead of critical, that is how we can allow ourselves to grow and mess up and make mistakes and not be sure of what we're doing and just try anyway. I love that. And I hope that there was something in there for you. Like it's about learning and unlearning what masked your divine you. Before we leave today, I want to give you a comeback to yourself, just a simple reflection. You can take 5 minutes sometime today or this week. And I have some questions for you to ask yourself. Where have I gotten away from myself lately? Just do a check. You know, we like to say, just do a self audit. Where have I gotten away from myself lately? Maybe through the summer, you know? And with fall coming and the different changes in the seasons and the schedules, you know, can we be willing to know what's actually happening inside instead of not even paying attention, which is abandoning yourself because we might not like what we find. We believe we won't. And again, remember this that when you're curious compassionately, there's no judging, no judging at all. So maybe you've been overworking. I don't know. Maybe you've been overthinking things or people pleasing, managing everyone and everything. Like, I've got to do this. Or maybe you found yourself spending more time scrolling than feels good. Some of us, a way to do things is we just stay super duper busy and we actually wear it like it's a badge of honor. It's not. One of my patterns is it's all on me. So I might try to hold it all together. It's really, really valuable to be able to understand, where, because all that is you've gotten away from yourself. That's not the real you, right? The second one is what is happening inside me that I haven't really paid attention to. It's not, how do I get rid of this, which is a normal tendency. No, it's, what's here? It's being curious. What is even going on? What's here? The third one is, what do I need from myself right now? Not from someone else, not from your husband, not from your kids, not, your circumstance to change, not from your schedule, from you. Maybe it's reassurance or resting or being honest and truthful. Could be a boundary, could be permission, compassion. It could look like, we got to have a little bit of courage here to do this or that. Could look like playing more, and what I've kind of noticed the last few months is I have given myself permission to stop grinding all afternoon in my business. I'm doing things that I just never could really get around to, just like simple things around the house or actually leaving the house and running errands or going and doing something. Like I wasn't doing any of that. I was just like in my office working on things. So I've given myself permission to add more variety in my day and not grind and actually put a little more rest or play in my day. And you know what? It feels really good. It feels really, really good. The fourth question I have for you is, what is one small way I can come back to myself today? And we don't have to make it some big thing. Okay. It could be take a walk. So one of the ways I do that to get out of my office is I freaking get my dog and we walk around the block and it takes like 4 or 5 minutes. That's a way to come, like I'm out in nature. I'm with my dog. I'm taking a breath. I'm breathing. I'm, coming back to myself. Or it could just be one of the things I love to do is once it starts to go down, the sun's going down. I like to go on sunset walks, but going and just sitting on my patio or when it's cooler outside and it's starting to get dark, I love that. Or even in the morning when it's not too hot. And hearing the birds, and seeing them flit around, fly here and there. It could be journaling. Could be saying, I'm sorry, that doesn't work for me. Could be going to lunch with your friend. I went to lunch with one of my dear friends. I was thinking about it. We've known each other for over 30 years. We were both in the same neighborhood, the same ward, and we both moved since then. But we went to lunch, and I'm not kidding you. We were at lunch for 2.5 to 3 hours. Luckily, we didn't have a waiter. Wasn't one of those places that had a waiter, but we just talked and caught up with each other. It was so awesome. And I did that into the afternoon when I normally would be in my office working. I gave myself permission to just talk as long as we freaking wanted to. It could be turning your phone off. Just turning it off. Could be making something, treat, or something, where you actually make something with your hands. I've really been enjoying my flowers that I planted seeds. Zinnias. Oh my gosh, they are the coolest flower. Cutting some and bringing them in. On video, you can see one in the corner, the back corner. That is a form of connection. It could be praying. It could be allowing yourself to cry. It could be co-regulating with someone, calling them. So do something that you genuinely enjoy and that would actually be connecting and replenish you. I gave you a bunch of ideas because when we're not used to that, we're like, I don't even know. Right. So here's the thing I want to close with today. Okay. We don't have to start over just because fall's here. Right. Maybe fall doesn't have to be this season that you completely overhaul your life. And just like I experienced with these women in my Come Home to Your Heart Masterclass, the last 14 weeks, we celebrated who we've become. We felt grateful for our journey and for each other and for the work that we did. We felt proud, and it's okay to notice that becoming in ourselves and in others, to celebrate that. So maybe this season is where you just notice where we've drifted, or I don't know if I really like that word, but like summer, we usually do have a different schedule. And so maybe it's like, we're not really leaving ourselves behind. We're listening to it. There is like a gentle returning, not because the current version of you is unacceptable, but because you are worth coming back to, coming home to, and connecting with. You are. So I have one final question for you. What would it look like if you let this season be about becoming more fully yourself, letting your light shine? What would that look like for you? Yeah. Ponder that and the other questions. Okay. And please send this to someone else who could use hearing this. And I would appreciate it if you would rate and review my podcast. If you have not done it and you're listening, please do that for me. Okay. Also know that the podcast episodes are available video form now. You can listen to me or you can watch it. So exciting to see me. Totally. It's on YouTube. I'm on YouTube now. Still working on getting that right, but I'm there. And all the other platforms. Kind of exciting. So know this, that I love you. I'm proud of you. I'm grateful for you, that you show up and that you listen and that you are aware of you and for who you're becoming. And know that I love you and that I believe in you. And I will be waiting for you next week when you push play again. Have a good rest of your day. Thank you for listening to the Courageous and Confident Christian Mom podcast. If you're interested in taking what you learned on this podcast to the next level, we have to talk. Schedule a free clarity call with me. Go to www.marcyowen.com and schedule your free call with me. You're one decision away from the life that you want.